Okay, it's my honor to introduce you guys to Joey Batson. Coach Batson is in his 30th year as a strength and conditioning coach at the collegiate level. He's in his 20th year at Clemson University. He has served as a head strength and conditioning coach for 26 of those 30 years. Coach Batson was named Master Strength and Conditioning Coach by the Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association in May of 2009. During his tenure as Director of Strength and Conditioning at Clemson, Coach Batson has coached in football 40 All-Americans, 129 All-ACC selections, 63 semifinalists or finalists for national awards, 27 strength and conditioning All-Americans, 12 NFL first-round picks, 69 NFL draft picks, 14 athletes chosen for ACC Player of the Year, 4 Super Bowl champions, and has helped Clemson to an appearance in 18 bowl games and 11 top 25 finishers. Coach Batson earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in physical education from Newberry College and his master's degree in education from Clemson. He was named the Muscle Milk Football Scoop Strength Coach of the Year in 2009. But most importantly, Coach Batson's married to Susan for 30 years, so she's been around during that whole career, okay? His children are Michael, 19, Ben, 16. Joey's a great coach, great friend, good godly man. Joey Batson.
Coaches, it's good to have everybody here today, and I appreciate you coming out and just getting an opportunity to take a kind of a snapshot of Clemson football and who we are and kind of what we're all about, and really just trying to build a championship caliber program up in the foothills. But glad that you're here today, just going to relax, have a good time, and talk about our profession that obviously we all love very much and fell in love with it 30 years ago, and just been very blessed to be around some good coaches, some good men, and some great strength coaches that's helped me along the way. I learned a long time ago that you want to hire people that's a lot smarter than you are, and that makes you look really good. So I've had some tremendous coaches here. Just a little bit about the presentation. There's a lot of information here. I really don't know how far we'll go today, but we're going to move fast, and we'll just cover as much ground as we possibly can this morning. Just a little bit about my career path. I came out of a little country town called Travelers Rest in South Carolina. Had the opportunity to go to the Citadel and played my freshman year. Prior to entering the Citadel, my dad tragically passed away. He was 39 years old. It kind of altered my course. I wanted to get a little closer to home and went to Newberry College, where I finished playing there. Had the opportunity coming out of Newberry to be a grad assistant, and there was 2 programs. Keith Kelphart was at South Carolina at the time and was in communication with him, and then a guy by the name of Gary Wade, who had been at Nebraska and the Detroit Lions, was at Clemson. And those were kind of the 2 programs that I was looking at, and South Carolina had filled up, but then had an opportunity to go on and be at Clemson as a GA. Back then, a lot of the programs didn't have strength coaches, so I had the opportunity to go to Bowling Green State University and become the first head strength and conditioning coach. And when I got to Bowling Green, all we had was 2 empty racquetball courts and 2 little old-style benches and a few dumbbells, and that was about it. And that's how we started. Was the first strength coach hired at Bowling Green, had 18 varsity sports, and they gave me an assistant. He was the tennis coach, and I didn't know a lot about strength training, but he kind of jumped in there with me, and we made it happen and worked for a guy named Mo Ankney. And then Gary Blackney came in from Ohio State, and I had a chance to work with him. Really wanted to get back home and was the assistant director at South Carolina for 1 year, and then had an opportunity to go back closer to home to Furman University. And again, that was the opportunity that I had to be the first strength and conditioning coach. And we didn't have but a little small room, maybe 3,000 square feet at best, a couple of squat racks, 4 or 5 benches, 2 platforms, and a few hex head dumbbells. And that's how we had to train about 14 varsity sports. And then from there, had an opportunity. A guy named Tommy West hired me to go to Clemson University. And I really value my experience because I had to learn how to do things kind of the hard way. I had to learn how to get out and raise money. I had to go out and have things built. And so I really appreciate what I have today because of my path in coaching. I think Coach mentioned a little bit about our tenure, things that we've been able to accomplish there. Very proud of that. Not as much proud of the numbers, but just proud of the relationships that I had built with those student athletes through the years. Some of the influences and mentors in my life and guys that's helped me along the way, I mentioned Gary Wade. Gary Wade was at Clemson University for 13 years, worked with Boyd Epley at Nebraska, was at the Detroit Lions and gave me my first start. Gary is now an administrator at Clemson, still a very good friend, and I appreciate him giving me the opportunity. Beside him, there's a guy by the name of Gerald Martin. Gerald Martin's a pastor friend of mine who's now retired. He's a guy that led me into a relationship with Jesus Christ one Sunday afternoon in his study, and while pastoring a church, discipled me one-on-one, came to my home every Tuesday evening and took it upon himself to mentor me and disciple me, and I really appreciate that because he didn't have to do it. He's still a good friend today. He comes and sees me, but every time he comes, he brings about 10 balls and 10 shirts. You know what I'm talking about, wants everything signed up. But I'll take care of my good friend. I think you all know Mike Gentry, ACC forever. Was always a good friend. Guys, I'm telling you right now, you're going to run into some tough times, and you're going to need a good group of men that you trust, that you can kind of lean on, and Mike's been that kind of guy. Dave Van Hallinger, all his years at Florida State, Dave would call you about Thursday when you're heading down to Tallahassee, invite you to a visit, maybe the Saturday before the game, beat your brains out on Saturday, and then call you on Monday and make you feel really good about it. So I have a lot of respect for Dave. Doc Crease, old Clemson guy, played at Clemson, graduated from Clemson, has been a good friend. Obviously, Kevin is another guy that I visited with about 7 years ago. Went down, took my staff, had a great visit, developed a good friendship, relationship with him, learned a lot, and Kevin still uses a lot of things today that I learned from your Excel spreadsheet there. It's about as far as I've got, but we're still using that. Dwight Galt. Dwight's a great friend in the ACC forever at Maryland. Thing I admired about him is his sons. I actually ended up playing for him at Maryland, and he talked about that relationship, and I'm kind of at that point in my career where I have a son on the team, and I just really appreciate his words of wisdom. And then back at Furman, went to Columbus, Ohio, met with a guy named Louis Simmons, and kind of changed the way I was thinking about training and started using some of his principles. And so a lot of good people there that's been an influence and really helped me through my career. When it comes to legacy, man, all I can tell you is the logo on that shirt at some point may let you down. And all the accomplishments, all the coaches that go out from your tree, that go to the different conferences, the championships, and the things that they do, the most important legacy that you will leave is what you leave in your home with that wife and those children that you have. Don't sell yourself and let it become an idol to you where all of a sudden you're more focused on the job, and it's important, and we have a job to do, but you don't do a good job with that legacy that you got to through your own kids and your family. My son Michael is a walk-on punter. My son Ben's a quarterback. He's a rising junior, a dual threat kid, really good. But I just want to make sure we understand that this job is not so important that you let the things that are important to you go. My staff, I got Larry, original staff that I kind of came up with at Clemson. Coach Greenley's now been with me. Been there 21 years. John Sisk, is at Georgia Tech now, has had a tremendous career. Ruben Mendoza's here with his staff. Ruben, John, and Larry were part of my first crew there at Clemson. Coach Abernathy, he's now at Furman University. Brandon Horrigan, who's had a pretty extensive career now at Wake Forest working football. And the boss man, Tony Smith, was at Tennessee and now at Duke. So part of that original group. It's good to have those guys here this morning. My staff, we kind of work hours like a football staff. Everybody is responsible for a position. We all do the core group of exercises, but we're able to kind of branch outside the core, and those guys have an opportunity to work with them and help them with some skills related to that position. Coach Greenley, quarterbacks, receivers, wide receivers, and DBs. Coach Hogan, who operates our catapult system, also works with our offensive linemen and our tight end. Adam Smotherman, D-line, kickers, punters, and snappers. I mainly work with the linebackers, and then Coach Smo will kind of help me with those. Drew McDuffie, who's now coming in, and Rendrick Taylor, is kind of whatever it takes with them guys, but they do a great job. They work with just about every position and have done a really nice job with our quarterbacks. I know this is strange, but I do get a lot of questions. Where is Clemson? People even here say, where is Clemson? Is that in Georgia? Is that in Florida? Is that in North Carolina, Alabama? Well, Clemson's kind of a little old place right there in the northwest corner of the state of South Carolina. I like to spend a lot of time down on that coastline myself, but obviously my work is done up in the golden corners there in South Carolina. A little bit about our facilities. The facility I'm in now at the west end zone, we've been there 7 years. We're getting ready to move into a brand new football operations center right there by the indoor. We play at Death Valley Memorial Stadium and have a nice dining facility there. In January, February, right by the indoor, just a little spot of where the new facility is going to be. Kind of a state-of-the-art, really excited about getting that kind of finished up. Weight room-wise, about 20 platforms, dual racks, probably close to 30,000 square feet, bottom and top. So again, guys, I've been coaching 30 years, first time in my career that I'll have an indoor and a weight room attached. I mean, all these years I've never had that, so I'm excited to be able to move in and out of that indoor, and I believe we can do a little better job than what we've been doing there. Kind of my mission is to carry out the vision of Coach Sweeney and to mold the team into the personality that he wants for the program. And at the end of the day, he's the CEO, he's the boss, and I report to him. Most of my career, I was a director. The last probably 5 years, we decentralized the Olympic sports. They have the director, Rick Franzblau. We have basketball and now football. So he is the guy, and he trusts me with that program. But at the end of the day, that's the guy that I work for. That's my boss, and it's his program. It's not mine. When I was a little bit younger coach, I kind of thought it was my program. You know what I'm saying? But you kind of come to find out really quick that guy calls all the shots, and he trusts you with the program. He wants your opinion, but at the end of the day, it's his program. Our vision, probably the same vision that you have, is that together as a staff, we want to build the strongest, fastest, most explosive, most powerful, best conditioned team in the country, and we just do it one day at a time. Sometimes you get overwhelmed. You're getting ready to go into your summer program. You get a little overwhelmed with what's ahead. But we just try to let's be the best we can be today as a staff. Let's do it one day at a time. We'll regroup in the evening, get a good refeed, get some rest, go back the next morning, and continue to build our program and our brand. Working for Coach Sweeney, I think it's important to kind of laying the groundwork here. He's a great coach to work for. Kind of lets you do your job. He's kind of you see him as kind of a fun-loving guy, but he is a fierce competitor. He will challenge the players, and he's going to challenge you as a staff to grow. And Coach Sweeney is a very hard-working man, driven. For us, best is a standard. Everything kind of rises and falls on him. We have fun, but we're only going to have a good time if we're winning. And he's big on attitude. And I've never seen a guy like it, man. He always sees that glass half full. And so it's, I miss him. A lot of times in the summer, I miss not having him around. But that's just kind of the personality and the energy that he brings to our program. He's big. 1 Corinthians 9:24-25. He's big about running the race. The man just running that race and winning daily. And then Proverbs 27:17 is iron sharpens iron, one man sharpening another. And us as a staff sharpening one another. Us as players kind of sharpening one another there. He's got a very simple formula for excellence, and he pounds this into our team, is preparing with purpose every day. And he will send me a text, Coach, are you preparing with purpose today in that weight room? And then we have to give attention to detail. Anything I turn into him, it goes through about 7 different coaches, and it comes back. I mean, he can find spelling anywhere. He might find one here. He'd find it. But Coach Sweeney's that kind of guy. Attention to detail, effort with technique, which is going to be execution, and then just an all-in commitment on and off the field. I think one thing that's helped our program the last few years is just that we are getting very good players. We're getting great players. But they do a really good job of vetting and kind of screening those guys so that we're getting the right people that can come into our environment and we can have success with. Not perfect people, but just trying to cut out some of the things that we really don't want to get into if we don't have to. Not going to go through all these, but this is in the players' locker room and our meeting room. It's just team commandments. These team commandments, when Coach Sweeney took over the program from Coach Bowden, he was an interim coach, and we didn't know if we'd have a job or not. So he got the seniors together, and they came up with these team commandments. A guy by the name of C.J. Spiller was on that team, a very good player. And so this is kind of what we have been living and dying by the last several years. The work characteristics of a 3-percenter. Your players are going to fall somewhere in this category. And coaches, again, really kind of brings this home to us almost every time that we meet, or every season of whatever it's off-season, in-season, or this playing season. And so the players kind of fall into this group. And the way our culture is set up at Clemson is try to squeeze guys and keep pushing them to the top. 27% probably going to be kind of troublemaker group. They probably are not going to make it in your program. They may hang around a year or two, but eventually they're going to work themselves out. 60%, these guys don't really set goals. We don't need a lot of these guys, so we're trying to squeeze them up. But they're the guys that they're compliant. They'll come into that weight room, they'll do it, but they're not going to do any extra. They'll just kind of go through the program and really don't get a whole lot better. And then as we get into that 10%, the difference makers, these are the uncommon guys. You can begin now in your mind and in your program, you're thinking about these people right now. These guys that you would say, hey, this is a 10%er. This is a guy that has goals. He's a high achiever. These are the people that are problem solvers. These are the guys you want. And in that last little 3%, these are very, very special people. They're winners. They're major game plan. They have a game plan. They know what they want. And they're not running from problems. They're seeking problems out. So Coach really works our guys and squeezes them. And in team meetings, he'll just start calling guys out. Coach Mendoza, what are you? Coach may say, I'm a 3%er, Coach. He said, no, you're a 60%er. And he'll go around the room, and even the coaches in the back, we'll kind of sit down. But he's going to call you out. He's going to challenge you, and we're going to squeeze guys and make them better. We're just a little small program. Used to be Clemson College. Now it's Clemson University. We're just trying to reach and get a little better and reach for greatness just like you are in your program. I'm here this week, because of just a tremendous organization. I appreciate Chuck and Beck and all the work that they do, and also to learn. I'm here to steal. I'm looking for information to take back, help our program get better. I go through this list about every time I move into a season, whether it be summer or move into the in-season, off-season. I have a little checklist that I go through. I'm not going to read through those, but men, if you got to be able to multitask, you got to be able to put a lot of things on that plate, and you got to be able to balance it out. So we have a lot of responsibilities and things that we have to do, and it's changed through the years. It's so much tougher today, but it is much better for us all, and financially in that regard. Kind of philosophy for me is just having the heart of a teacher, bringing great passion, enthusiasm each and every day, even the days you don't feel like it. They're going to kind of go off of you and your mood and how you got to be very, very consistent every single day. You're going to have to be very organized. You got to be efficient. You got to have a plan. You guys know that you only have so much time. And in a school like Clemson, right now, we're being watched very closely. Because we're having success, and we're a small school, so we got to dot our I's and cross our T's. So I have to be very organized and efficient in our work. we've got to dig it out of them. We've got to challenge them. We've got to demand effort, and we got to get these guys to really work at a high level, having a daily focus, them understand the process. The thing that I'm learning, they want to know why we do everything, and if I can't give them the why, they're going to go out and get that information from somebody else. In my personal opinion, discipline is huge. And I think we've all been in those situations as strength coaches where we've been very disciplined in the room. We hold the guys to a high standard. But then on the other side, maybe the football side, they're not doing the same work, so you kind of feel helpless. But I'm going to tell you, you just keep banging and you keep beating and you stay disciplined. And sometimes those guys, they may make a change or two upstairs, may help you out a little bit. But you got to maintain some discipline in that room and gain the respect of those players and hold them accountable in our standard, which Coach talks about as being the best. Developing a sense of mental toughness. I think just going through that program, pushing them, all the challenges that they're facing academically, in the football and the workouts and things like that, you're going to develop a good blend of mental toughness. Sometimes you think you're the only guy that's developing mental toughness. Maybe it's a style of football you play. You think, man, wish we did things a little different to develop some more toughness on the football side. I can only go so far in that weight room with the liability and things that we're all facing today. You have to be extremely careful. So just make sure as you program that everything's very progressive and everything that you do, that you make sure that you can kind of explain why you're doing it. I used to do a lot of kind of crazy stuff years ago that I probably will not be, that I don't do today. It was good stuff, had a good time, but I've just kind of learned how to kind of navigate through all that stuff now. Guys, learning how to respect the finish, respecting your athletes. I think these last three are very important. There's guys that you don't like. Let's face it. They come in, you don't like them. Sometimes they leave and you don't like them. And you do everything in the world to try to build that relationship. You work through your staff and your coaches to try to reach that individual. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. But you respect them. You kind of recognize what they can become. And you're in a developmental stage. Our little, from high school to the NFL, we're in a developmental stage. And as guys kind of progress through that, we kind of learn how to manage our older guys. And kind of understand your ultimate role as a coach. We love it. We love coaching. We love being around the athletes. I have my most fun in that room. That's where I'm at my best. I love that part of it. Some of the other stuff I don't enjoy as much, but I love being in the room. I love being around our guys. Love is a very powerful emotion. If you're going to coach them hard, then you better learn how to love on them. And you got to build a relationship of trust. So that a lot of guys come in, they just don't trust you. And so through the staff and yourself, you just got to build that trust and the loyalty and commitment to the program. Just as far as coaching goes, man, I believe you got to be prepared. You got to be very consistent. You got to be that example to your staff and to your athletes, and build and strengthen those athletes, and then respect the finish. Things that we talked about. For me, it's pretty simple. Just a simple man with a simple plan that somehow has just simply worked through the years. Just really some basic principles for us. Just I'm just always going back to safety. It's a little different all of a sudden when you start coaching your own kids and you have sons or daughters and they're in athletics, things change a little bit. When I was for 10 years as a coach, I didn't have them. And so now I look at them a little bit differently today, but it's always going to be the safety and the dynamics of that training. We take all of our guys back to kind of ground zero. We just start building from the ground up and developing them, just using different progressions, progressive overload, and some percent type training, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Learning to work within their limits. Okay, I'm not a big numbers chaser, but numbers are important. Coaches like numbers, but at some point, you've got to decide with those older guys how much is enough. Is a 375 clean better than a 370? When you got two defensive ends, one was drafted the first round, second round. I had them last summer. Very strong, explosive guys, but we had to make a decision on how we train those guys. Yeah, they're going to train hard, but when everybody gets a little nervous. We've got a quarterback right now, it's a pretty good player. Somebody's with him every single second that he's in that weight room. Working within the limits, being consistent, being time under tension, then recovering from that. And then I tell our players they're going to build their profile. I'll show you a little bit later kind of a profile we use of testing. Coach Sweeney likes that format. But the guy's going to tell their story. we're there to help, guide, and lead, and push, and challenge. But they're going to, end of the day, they'll tell their story to our staff, to their teammates, and to the NFL when they come in. And we're going to work on those weaknesses, and we're going to continue to build on their strength. When it comes to strength training, we all want functional, strong, explosive guys that can move. We've got some pretty good athletes down there. We use a lot of different types of training. I try not to vary too far from the core of what we do. Sometimes you'll kind of work yourself out of good work. A lot of you guys have done that. You look back and say, when did I quit doing that? Why did we stop doing these type of drills or lifting? And we kind of find ourselves easy to kind of catch the wave of everything that's new. And all of a sudden you get way out here somewhere and you kind of look back over and say, this is where I used to be. And you start working your way back. But we're going to use periodization. We're going to use a kind of linear periodization. We're going to use some waves in there. And we're going to use the conjugate method. So we'll rotate some exercises in and work exercises out. The guys train so much year-round now that you got to keep them fresh. We have to train very hard, and we all do that, but we got to train fast. So that's where we talk about that organization. Routines, I've done 3-day lifts and 2 days of type running in the wintertime. Right now we're kind of working more of a 4-day split, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and a Friday. Wednesday being kind of a mini mat drill day in the winter, and then in the summer, it's what we call a skills and drills. We're going to do some type of explosive lift every day. That's probably the first thing we're going to do right out of the gate, and we're going to vary the intensity and the load and the exercises that we do there, and we rotate those. And then we do some exercises on command. Coach Abernathy, when he was at Western Kentucky, brought some things to us that he did on command and on whistle command that I really liked, especially if you got a young group that's very undisciplined and they just need that structure. So there's some things that we work on there. When we set goals for each of the guys, each training period that we go through, everything for us starts with some type of a dynamic warm-up, normally about 3 to 4 stations, depending on the exercises that day. It just sets the tone, gets the guys moving, gets the guys going, prepping them for the work, getting blood into the areas that we're going to be working, which most every day is pretty much total body, and then we are going to get what you emphasize, and it all starts with that warm-up. As far as speed, the best speed training I have found is your recruiting. That kind of helps you a little bit, but sometimes you don't get the best guys, so you gotta put your stamp on it. And for us, it's going back to just like strength training, just guys that can move. We cannot sacrifice strength for speed. That's just, we're a up-tempo offense, and it makes you really nervous because we kind of have to be hybrid. We say power speed, so we got to play power teams. You're going to run up against those big, strong, physical power teams, and it makes you a little nervous. And then you got to go play the tempo and the speed team. So the trick now is how to build those teams. How do you build a power, speed football team? And we kind of find out as we kind of go through in the teams we play. Some are very speed-oriented, high tempo. Some are more power teams. So you got to prepare your guys for both. But we do a variety of technical work, just some power speed, basic power speed drills daily. We're always working on hip mobility, flexibility, whether it's floor movements or it's hurdle drills. We do a lot of GPP, which is just general physical preparedness, just calisthenics, mountain climbers, different ab routines, and then we'll work more specific when we get into more football type drills, and then into very specific drills by position. Quality sprinting, high intensity, not a lot of reps. Sometimes guys look at that as like, well, we ain't doing so many reps, it's probably hard, but no, it's a high quality sprinting, high intensity, volume's low. We're going to do tempo sprinting, where the volume's a little bit higher, and then we're going to do some acceleration work. One thing about Clemson, we have a lot of hills around there, so there's a lot of, right around the stadium, so there's a lot of different places we can go and do some acceleration work, power training in the stadium. Big on agility. When Coach is big on movement, agility, and suddenness and explosiveness. When Coach Venables came from Oklahoma, brought a ton of knowledge from those guys and really helped us too in terms of just the explosiveness and the quickness and the things that he wanted to implement. So him coming in really helped us, and even went on to visit Smitty out there a few years ago. Appreciate him letting us come out, and just kind of learning some some things from them, and it kind of helped us there. But big on explosive quickness, and then just some different types of power type work. And then last year, Coach Connor had introduced the run rocket to us, and a lot of guys were kind of using it. We went out and bought some. We like it, started using them, and so we kind of took that from him last year, and now it's in our program. Prowlers, and then we do some old Maskell sleds, just some power work there. Developing the lower levers, glutes, hamstrings, hyperextension, reverse hyper, working some sand pit, doing different types of jumps to develop a lower lever and posterior chain, developing our core, and then hip flexibility, and then just sprinting technique. We do a lot of different types of sprinting. 2-point, 3-point, position, falling starts, scramble outs, kneeling, all throughout the summer. It's kind of ingrained in that script, and we're just going to work on as many things as we possibly can to help our guys. We're going to condition our athletes to run fast. We're not going to trick them. We're not going to bring them in a little facility and kind of do a bunch of tricks and drills, and then they go to combine, they're slower than they've ever been. But we're going to condition our guys to run fast. We're going to get them in great shape so that they can run fast, reduce their body fat, increase their overall fitness level, and do it through speed, agility, quickness, intervals, and position-specific drills. Just for us, a final thought when it comes to developing speed. Speed over time is tempo. So again, we go back to that tempo that we have to have. Thing about speed, it kind of generates that shock effect. You know what I'm talking about? We've doing it so long. You go out there and you play in maybe a power team, and the first drive they mash you and they go down and score, and then you get on defense, or you go to offense and you call in the punt team, and you walk down by your assistants and say, boy, it's going to be a long, long day, boys. Pretty good bunch over there. Or it's the same on the speed side. You think the team's pretty fast or pretty quick. All of a sudden you line up. After a few series, you kind of walk by the staff and say, well, these old boys, they can move. They're explosive. They're fast. So that speed for us kind of dictates the terms of competition. So I have to spend a large amount of time on that. Kind of gives us that shock effect. It kind of allows you to seize the moment and maybe even dictate the terms of the competition. If you can get that momentum going, you can kind of job them a little bit, work them, and then it provides confidence. Guys love to be able to move. Not just your skill guys, but those big guys. So, it gives them some confidence when they have really good speed, confidence in that, and then it is a weapon. So, that's the thing that kind of helps us with the ebb and flow of a game. It can kind of demoralize people. Man, you get on them quick and you shock them. Most teams are pretty mentally tough, so they're going to kind of bounce back and they're going to fight back, and some teams won't. So that's kind of why speed is very important to us. Again, just the different types of change of direction, different cones, agilities, developing that muscle memory, not just patterns, but reactive drills, and then just speed endurance. The ability to do it over and over and over and over again, and having a good progression and a plan to do that. So just some real basic principles. We just kind of talked about all that, going to ground zero, progression, working within your limits, being consistent, and kind of on down the line. Kind of for us, specific training principles is we're going to do exercises that develop explosive strength. We talked about that every day. We're going to do exercises that develop maximum strength. So we're going to have kind of max effort days. Every day is really a max effort. Just depends on what percentages or what your rep scheme is. But we're going to have to lift heavy. Coming off of the national championship game, the first guy I called was Coach Marotti. I said, Coach, here we are. We just got off a plane. We're getting ready to go into class tomorrow. Kind of what do you do? And Coach, first thing he came out with, he said, it's a grind. And I said, man, it's a grind, but it's a great thing. And so he kind of helped me navigate kind of through that. Our winter was only about 4 weeks, and then we had a week of mat drills, and then we were right back into spring. So that was kind of tough to have a cycle that was only that short. The good thing is in season is about 22, 23 weeks. We had done a really good job of running waves and kind of using the catapult and talking to our upperclassmen and just our experience of how to keep guys strong through the season and really developing our young players and getting them ready, because we felt like as we got better that the winter would be a short for us. We do what we call power bodybuilding. We do a lot of auxiliary exercises. We'll get some guys that are, underdeveloped. So we're going to really hammer and target them, and we just superset a lot. Power clean, we may do a power clean with box jumps and maybe some basic side front raises, just keeping them always moving. So we're going to superset about every single thing that we do, getting as much in as we can. Doing exercise, develop the core, neck and back. Again, speed is kind of the king of all sport. And then doing some position-specific work, just some basic principles for us there. Kind of our edges, we all have that little thing that we kind of, our foundation that we stand on for Clemson and our department downstairs. Is just, I got to have a great attitude and I got to have work ethic. If I don't have a good attitude and work ethic, it makes it pretty tough on everybody. But that's our job as coaches, to help develop that attitude and help develop that work ethic and learn how to, and developing those relationships. We always say if you're not training on the edge, you're taking up too much space. So we want our guys to train on the edge, and two things that they can control is their attitude and their effort. Mental, physical, and competitive toughness. That competitive toughness that the coaches ingrain, we got to continue to build that through the off season. And just a little saying that when it's too tough for them, it's just right for us. That's kind of the mindset that we want to have. Being disciplined, like Coach Yock said early, when it's 2 minutes till, it's time to go. And that's kind of the way we approach it. Be early, be prepared, and get locked in. Let's go to work. And then, like we talked about, is winning the day. Taking it one day at a time, building on each and every day, and then respecting that finish, respecting the guys that came before you, and respect those teammates. And, man, you got to earn everything. I look back at my career, I had to earn everything I got, from mid-majors and no equipment and no budgets and nothing, and just had to earn it. Had to keep working, had to keep pushing, had to keep working through the 2-9 seasons and the 3-8s. We all going to kind of hit those bumps in the road. You start to question yourself, am I doing a good job? Am I doing the right things? But you just got to keep pressing, keep pushing, and continue to earn each and every day. One thing about the weight room, there's no first team or second teamers. It's pretty much everybody's they're not classified. So that's a good thing. You can get in there and you can work those guys and push them and develop the kind of edge that you need. A snapshot of our year, we have what we call the get ready phase. This is Coach January and April. It's kind of getting everybody back, getting them started. May and July is kind of transformation. This is a period where you guys have just been through that, meeting with your players. The coaches have met with the players. All this stuff has been written up. It's documented. It's in books now. So everybody knows where they stand. Everybody knows what they have to do. Now we, as coaches, had to keep that before them through the summer. And coaches want to see a change. They want to see a transformation of body, spirit, and mind in getting ready for what we call prime time, which is a season, and then we move into the championship phase of our year. Just winter, spring training, the get ready phase. The first thing that we do before we even step in the weight room is we have all the seniors over to my house, depending on the size. They like home cooking, so Susan sometimes will cook a home-cooked meal if it's a small group of seniors, but if it's a large group, we've got to cater it in. And we have a draft, which is called accountability teams. And we have a good time with that. We have 2 seniors to a group. We have 8 teams, and then we just go through and we start the draft. And the way it's organized is the way that you're drafted and the way that you're picked is in order. So if you're a first-round pick, they trust you. They know you're going to do the right thing in the Sports Medicine Center. They know you're going to do the right thing at Victory Hall academically. They know you're going to go to class. They know that you're not going to be a list guy. So, and then as they kind of get closer to the bottom, that's when they get really nervous in that draft. So once we draft these accountability teams, basically they get points for doing good things, community service, True Tiger of the Week, anything that kind of brings light to the program positively. Their team gets positive points, but they also get demerits and negative points. And what we will do at the end of a session, we'll go out on the field, line them up in their 8 teams. Coaches that have their teams Team 1, 8 half-gassers. Team 2, 0, have a seat. Team 3, 12 half-gassers. Team 4, you got 2 on down the line, and we'll run at the end of a workout, kind of building a team, small teams within a team, and it's worked really well for us. The one thing that Coach Sweeney does, as soon as he gets back in the winter, he takes these accountability teams, gets in front of the team, and he'll start calling guys out. And he'll go to Team 1, and he'll say, I can see why Jabril, I see why you were a first-round pick. CJ, this is what your team thinks about you. You're 12th guy picked in the draft, which means you're not accountable. And he'll go through every team. The strength staff sits in the back of the room, and you can kind of see the heads begin to drop as Coach starts calling out those names. But he challenges our guys, again, going back to that 3% thing and trying to squeeze guys and push guys to be the very best that they can be. But that's what we do right out of the gate. Establish those teams, and then we get ready to run. These teams will run all the way through the season. So these guys will come in the weight room. It's on a TV there. They'll walk by you. The whole group will just walk by the strengths. They won't even speak. And they'll go right to that board, and they'll just watch it flip. And they start talking. And then next thing you know, they got one over in the corner. They're talking to him, trying to get themselves in a good position. So it's been good for us. There's a lot of ways to be creative with it, and we're looking for ideas as well. So maybe some things that you're doing, be glad to share with me, and we're just trying to get this program better. But we really, really like this and had a lot of success with it. In the winter, it's kind of what we do. Mondays, we do our dynamic warm-up. That's going to be a power clean day, just kind of using some submaximal weight, different percentages for speed. Could be anywhere from 65, 75%, maybe into the 80s, just depending on how the guys are moving the bar. That's our heavy, heavy squat day. We'll use a kind of a progression, but we normally come out of the gate pretty heavy for the triples and doubles. The percents may be a little low, but we want to get some heavy weight back on their back. Auxiliaries, we're doing some type of a back work every day, upper, lower back. Working our core, obliques, ACL protocol, just a good leg day, leg press, extension curls, glute ham, and reverse hoppers. And then since it's such a heavy, heavy leg day, we normally go out and just work some hundreds, and we begin to build kind of a conditioning base, getting ready to go into the mat drill program. Tuesdays, a dynamic warm-up. That's the day we'll work about 25 to 30 minutes of just fundamentals of speed development, working about 4 guys across, just taking our time, working different drills, A's, B's, and flutters and butt kicks and different combinations of things there. Just a dynamic speed day, and then it's kind of a heavy upper body day. We'll do boards. We'll start 3-board presses, and we'll hit 3 boards for a couple of weeks. We'll work down to 2-board, work down to some single board. That's a max effort day, and then we'll work back down to some standard pressing there. But that's a kind of a max effort day for us, upper body wise. We're going to do some type of a military press. We rotate those around, and again our auxiliaries, back, abs, a lot of trap work, just a kind of a total body upper day. But we're all working, also going to work a platform lift in there as well. So Wednesday for us is in the wintertime is what we call a mini mat. Normally do it in the morning around 6:30. Goes for about an hour, 6 a.m. Goes about an hour, 15 minutes. Basically, it's your mat drill program, kind of toned down. Instead of having 8 stations, we're working with 5 strength coaches. You can only do 5 stations, but it begins to prepare them, and then we can do for the mat program. Thursday is dynamic warm-up. That's our heavy, heavy power clean day. We're going to front squat on that day as well and do a variety of auxiliary exercises. Conditioning, again, is going to be some type of intervals. It's a slower run, but again, trying to elevate the work capacity, get them back in some good shape. And then Fridays, every Friday morning, we go at 5:30. That's a team lift. About a 45, 50-minute weight room, 45, 50-minute agility, quickness, and then we'll flip. So coaches will take one group to the indoor, one group's in the weight room, then we switch it up. After we finish up on Friday morning, we feed them, have a big breakfast, and we clean up and kind of get ready for the next week. So that's kind of what our winter program looks like. I wish I could get 8 weeks. Standard for us is 7. I'd love to have 8 weeks, but Coach sets the schedule. I get 7. This year we had 5, but we made it work. All-in program for us. It's when the coaches get back in, we do sessions with them. We rotate a lot. I'll rotate the exercise in that, so it's just not the same every day. But we have those 8 stations. We'll do a mat drill station. There's a bag station, a different combination. Coach Venables runs that, so he'll do a lot of tier bag work. We're going to do hoops, figure eights, a lot of different hoop drills. Our defensive line coach runs that. Just your basic standard cone drills. A DB coach will run that. We have a punch. We have a punch station, which our offensive line coach runs, so everybody's got to learn how to punch and sit in their hips. And then we have a change of direction. That's probably one of the tougher ones, the shuttle runs. Our running back coach. And then we have a station, which is just our pro combine drills. Coach Greenlee, quarterback coach, they run that station. We rotate to the competitive station. We'll have an L drill one day, then we'll do a pro agility, and then we'll kind of rotate those exercises around. So there's constant change there, so they just don't get the same stimulus. And then we'll have a sled, the sled dogs, or some ropes is to close it out, the stations. Then we'll normally run accountability run. Spring training for us is 2 days a week. We lift on Tuesday and Thursday. This spring, I really just worked as heavy as I could. I wanted to stay heavy, and I just had to balance out the practice with the lifting, and each guy had his group, and you just had to manage your group. But I wanted to keep the guys strong and stay as heavy as we could within reason because of the physicality of a spring. But the way we do that, we'll power clean. On Tuesday, we'll just back squat. We'll keep it we'll still work up to triples, but again, that percent may vary. We're going to do some type of a board press, kind of a max effort work there, and then just our auxiliaries. Those workouts last right at an hour, and then they have meetings that day. Thursday is another day that we're going to power clean, normally just sub-maximal weight with just a little speed work. Going a front squat. Sometimes we'll move a front squat in with a band squat. We'll rotate them in and out, but keep the front squat heavy. And then some type of a press. We'll close grip with the just standard close grip, neutral bar, bent iron. Alex, he's got some great stuff there, those neutral grips. And then we may do some incline work, fat bar or regular fat bar bench, and then some auxiliaries. So that's kind of how we work through spring practice. Once spring is over, we go right back into a 4-day. I enjoy this time because there's not as much running, so it's mainly just lifting, just some good heavy lifting for 2 weeks. And then we close out and get into our discretionary period there. Transformation, we do it by quarters, weeks 1 and 2, kind of the first and second quarter, weeks 3 and 4, second quarter. They get a break. We come back, start the third quarter of the summer for 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks we're in the fourth quarter, so we try to make it like a game. Monday, we're kind of still working on some of this. We may change some of this up next week, but in the past, this is kind of how we did it. Some dynamic warm-up, shoulder prehab, stations, sub-maximal power clean. We're going to bench. We're going to go kind of a max effort day there, and then we're going to work our auxiliaries. And then we have some nice hills out by the stadium. It's a power day, so we'll go out and do some power work out there on the hills, out there at Cemetery Hill. Tuesday, dynamic warm-up, bar warm-up, jump training, some hurdles. We'll work some snatches that day, just some really light, explosive work with a snatch. And then we'll work right over into a heavy squat, and then our auxiliaries. And then we move across to the indoor, just some more straight ahead agility work. Not much cutting, but just kind of starting to work in our cutting. Wednesday is a day that we do what's called a skills and drills. This is a player-led program. It's Monday afternoon and Wednesday afternoon, first session. Second session, it's Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So this is all player-led. Those guys meet over there, and they go through. Every position has things that they're going to work on that they learn through spring practice and what the coaches kind of have for them there. Our coaches are not involved with our guys in the summer. Some programs, coaches will work your players. Coach Sweeney just wants the strength staff to have them, and he wants those guys to learn how to work on their own. So once we get into the summer, football's out. Now I have to cut a little meeting time in for them because there'll be some time that they'll start meeting when they come back, so I have to allow time for that. But our coaches don't do anything with them in the summer, so the burden is on us, and we love it. I like it that way. Thursday, dynamic, just bar warm-up, working our core. That's a heavy, heavy clean day for us. We're going to do another type of a press or some speed work with some band pressure, some speed bench, and then work into some close grips, and then auxiliaries. Fridays at 5:30. We'll take the groups. One's fundamental speed development. One hits the indoor. The indoor could be a variety of things, but mainly it's just some 110s or half gassers or things like that. And then we'll front squat, power clean, push press, and kind of work through that. Second, third, and fourth quarter, some of the exercises change here. Power clean and max effort work on the bench. We'll start doing snatches, just hang snatches for a while, kind of getting the pressure off the lower back. We'll kind of continue to work our power clean, and then we'll go into some clean and jerks on Friday. We'll go from a push press to just some basic clean and jerks, just changing the movements around, and just for the sake of really change, and it's just good for them athletically, I think. In season, I think we do a pretty good job here. Again, I'll waive it. I'll just kind of I'll look at our schedule and kind of see what the season looks like, and then I'll just use waves. I'll work up to a set percent. If I feel good, the guys are moving, coaches are communicating with me, getting good feedback, we may bump again. If we feel like we're kind of getting a little heavy, you've had a physical game, maybe some games you go out and you don't play but 2 quarters and you just happen to be your day. Then the next week you go out and you go into an overtime, and so then you're going to have to modify and adjust on the fly. So you just kind of got to be open. You have the script, things you like to do in season, but you got to be open-minded about what's going on. But we do train our guys pretty hard in season, but we got to monitor that. There's variations. Some guys can't squat. Some guys have a hard time with that in season. Guys get hurt, so we have to pit shark it, leg press it, or some type of kettlebell squat, or we just have to change it around. But if we can back squat, we'll continue to back squat or safety bar. We're going to power clean if we can. Especially young guys, older guys start getting beat up, we'll change the pull to just a power pull, power shrug, help them out. And then we want to continue we don't ever do a full range bench in season. It's normally 2-board, 3-board, or Elite Fitness has a little pad there. It works really good for us. And going to stay healthy. A lot of prehab work. And then on the other day, on our Wednesday, we'll kind of work it a little bit different. We'll do trap bar deads. We'll back squat kind of light, do the different types of presses, auxiliaries. One thing I like about it, like right here, now we're talking about camp. Camp for me is, I like it now, so much different. Years ago, you had 2-a-days forever. Guys lose 20 pounds, and it was just horrible. Now you're able to get a good lift in, keep the guys strong, keep them healthy, keep them fed, keep them full. So our camp, we'll lift as much as we can during camp. As many days as coach will give me, we'll continue to lift. When they start to get beat up, we'll modify it some and explain why we're doing that. In season, we do a lot of pulling. We make sure we do a lot of pulls with our presses, maybe like even 3-to-1. We do a lot of pulling. So, again, we kind of talked about that and how it works. This is kind of the foundation of our program of training those young guys, what we call our power hour guys. Coach gives me, those red shirts. He lets me have them during meetings. So when we have a team meeting every day. When that meeting is over, those guys come down to the weight room, and it's pretty tough. We kind of teach ground zero, but once we get going in a few weeks, we start moving some weight, and those guys have to lift, and then they got to go to practice, and they got to service our first, second teamers, and so it's a pretty tough deal for them. But over a period of 12 to 15 weeks, those guys really, really, really develop. So we kind of go from ground level. Days that we're at home, it's Monday through Friday. Days that we're on the road, it's Monday through Thursday. So do a good job with that freshman group. Had a lot of success with that. Guys take pride in it. Of course, they always heckle the young guys when they get there because they have to go through that process. But it's really good for us there. We're always teaching. We're always progressing with those guys. We treat it like a classroom environment. we're there to teach. We actually give them a written test. About it, Coach Smo will put together a test about every 3 weeks, and we'll administer the test, and then that's normally a Friday. Next week they'll come in, and Coach will go through the answers and talk to them, because what I'm trying to do is not only develop players and understanding why, is I want guys to be able to teach. I want guys to be able to coach. We're a little outnumbered, so I want to try to develop players and guys that can coach and help us. Then they can understand, what you're trying to do and kind of what all this stuff means. But we'll bring in some guest speakers, kind of talk to the group and keep them motivated, and eventually we'll bring Coach down, and that kind of lifts their spirits a little bit, that they're not forgotten. But it's a big, big part of what we do. And I've done it a lot of different ways. I used to get them up in the mornings. We'd do it in the mornings, and they'd go to school and class and do the meetings, and that's good. Seemed like over the course of a season, because of the academic load and all the demands there are pretty incredible now, especially with the academic services and the kids that you have that need it. We just found that works best for us. The Catapult, Coach Hogan runs that program for us, and he uses that data to communicate with our coaches and us, and it gives us just some benchmarks as we move through the season, kind of the load, and, the movement patterns of our guys. They still develop in power. And then he's got it marked each day so we can kind of see, what's going on. Then we start having some overuse injuries, things begin to happen. We can kind of go back and check that data. We can communicate with the trainers and coaches, and we've had coaches kind of pull some guys out of practice late, just pull some reps back because of the amount of running that they're doing. And this tempo of practice is so much different today than it was years ago. Testing for us, how are we looking there, Coach Smo? We good? Okay. Just testing for us, we just absolute strength, bench and squat, strength endurance, we do 225, power clean, we do a power clean push press up to singles. Squats are singles or triples depending on the cycle. If it's short, I just try to get a triple if I can, but I like to work to a single. Linear speed, 10s and 40s, we run those in the summer. Then we do all of our pro stuff, pro agility, L drill, 60s, and then testing for us, the end of summer one, we just run 18-110, just kind of a base builder, kind of gets everybody a mark. And then when they come back summer two, we run 300-yard shuttle test the last day. That's the short. We do 3 of those, 25-yarders, and times are by position. So just a little something to hold over them as we go into the summer, finish out the summer. Player profile, this is kind of how Coach likes it. It's got it by the year. Kind of his weight, body fat, you can see on down the line, and then we have strengths and weaknesses and a game plan. As it goes through, it just kind of shows his career path. And the NFL guys love this. Coach Greenlee does a nice job. He's the NFL liaison. He puts together a nice booklet for our NFL guys as they're coming through, and they love it because this is what I go back to. I said earlier, this is going to tell their story. You're going to tell your story to your teammates, to your coaches, and to the NFL. So, sometimes there's injuries, things happen, we'll document it and make a note of it, but this is how we present their profile to the staff. We're going to educate our athletes, do a good job of saying the whys, and we'll kind of go through the lifts and show different positions there. Nutrition, we all got it. I think we're in the process of bringing in a football. Lisa Chan's done an excellent job, but she's had to do everything. It's really tough. So Coach is going to hire someone, an RD, to come in and really help us as we move into this new facility. As I close out here, man, just some things that I've learned and I'll just share with you. This is just kind of the old words of wisdom segment here. But everything, again, goes back to the attitude, and it's something that you just got to work on every day, staying positive. I find best for me is early morning, just having some devotion time, a little prayer time, just kind of getting refocused, getting recalibrated, have my set point every day, and then I can move into my day. And you just got to be committed, and you just got to go above and beyond the call of duty. A lot of young coaches here, and if you're a clock watcher and you're counting hours, you might want to consider moving into something else. I've tried to be more efficient as I've got a little older, being more efficient with my time and managing my staff so that they can stay refreshed. You got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to teach. You're going to set the tone in that weight room. So if it's not what you want, it's your fault. Okay, if it's not hot enough and the intensity's not there, don't look to the players. Don't look to your staff. They're responsible too, but you got to look at the man in the mirror. You're the guy that's going to set the tone. each and every day. And this job takes a tremendous amount of energy and effort, and you got to be on point every single day that you walk in there. Plan your work your plan. Once you earn that right to be a champion, and you got to continue to earn that right to stay there. For me, it's a faith, family, football. Don't let the football become an idol. Don't let that weight room become an idol to you, because the logo at some point may let you down, okay? And you'll be surprised. I remember I went through a transition with coaches. I had a lot of friends, administrators, and so we went through that coaching change. And I remember going into press conference for our new coach, didn't know if I had a job or not, and even the administrators wouldn't even look at me. Hey, what happened to all my buddies? Hey, then they were focused on the new guy. Here's the savior of the program. He's here. He's going to bring another strength coach on and on and on. So, people will turn on this. So you kind of watch yourself there, and you be careful. Real quickly, just running through, have a good group of advisors around you. Make sure that you got a good team around you, not only your staff, but people outside that you trust. Keep your facility recruit ready. One thing I learned from Gary Wade and working with Boyd Epley, man, your facility's got to be recruit ready every day. Those guys are moving in and out all the time. This is your ministry. Like what Billy Graham said, one coach will impact more young people in a year than the average person does in a lifetime. So the impact that you have, is it positive or is it negative? Document everything. Make sure you take great notes. Everybody needs a kind of a Paul and a Timothy in their life. So just make sure that you got somebody that's pouring into you, you're pouring into someone else, and so that you don't let your tank run empty. Don't sacrifice technique and all to chase numbers. Man, you be technically sound. Don't burn bridges. I know we're all going to get mad. We're going to get upset. You're going to leave a program. You're going to burn all your gear. And you're thinking, I'm never going back. I don't need these people. All of a sudden, you're in it 30 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years down the road. Oh, there's that guy. So you make sure you be a man about it. You shake the man's hand. You walk away. You're pissed, go outside, jump, scream, holler, and yell, but sometimes that thing will kind of cycle back around. So you make sure you keep those bridges built. Set goals for everything, and you got to network. If you're an Olympic sports person, that's where you got to network. If you're a football guy, you got to network with football, especially the coaches there. Surround yourself with the right people. Good advice that I learned from a businessman: hire late, fire early. Okay, hire late, which means you do your homework on a guy. Okay, and then if it ain't good, you get rid of them pretty quick. So hire late, fire early. Final thoughts, men. No matter what position you're in, if you're an intern, you value that internship. If you're a GA, you value that graduate assistantship. Don't take it for granted. You're a full-time coach somewhere, you value that position. You're a head strength coach, I don't care what level yet. I've been at all levels. You value that position. Okay, if it ain't good, just start throwing a little fertilizer down, keep watering, let it green up a little bit. But you value that position. One thing I've learned is you got to fight your ass off for your job every day. Every single day that you go in that weight room, you got to fight for your job, or somebody's coming after it. Okay, just kind of, if you don't remember anything or learned anything today, you remember that. You go back to your school and you fight. You fight for that job, no matter what size. Anything, staff's here, questions, appreciate everything, guys. Thanks for coming this morning, getting up early, and we'll be around. Love to talk to some guys, and good to see some of my old friends. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.